All right, so the last video here, we're going to compare the mean and the median of distribution. And as we do that, we're talking, of course, about the idea of resistance. Okay, because sometimes it's better to use the median. Sometimes it's better to use the mean when you're given the data. Sometimes when I do my grades, if I have one student that does really well, but everyone else has a B or a C, sometimes it's good to remove that outlier so that everyone else's grades can go up when I'm curving them or giving them grades and looking at those. So we're going to compare the mean and median of a distribution and choose the appropriate measure of center, okay, in a given setting. So choosing a measure of center. If your data is symmetric, about the same amount of points on the left and the right of the peak, then we're going to use the mean. The mean's the better measure to use there, okay? If there's no outliers, so if it's symmetric and there's no outliers, we want to make sure that we use the mean to measure the center. If it's strongly skewed, okay, or has outliers, then the median's going to be better. So again, if it's strongly skewed, not so much symmetric, and it has outliers, then we're going to use the median because, again, that is resistant to the outlier in that data. So we're going to take a look at an example here, and the data is all going to be given to you. We don't need to go and enter this stuff in. Now, you may need to in a quiz or on the homework, you may need to enter this data. But as you can see, here's a dot plot displaying the data on travel times in minutes of 20 randomly chosen New York workers. Explain why the mean, so here's the mean, and here's the median. Explain why the mean is so much larger than the median. If you look at this data, okay, you see that this right here is the peak. Okay, so I would say that this is strongly skewed to the right because here's the peak and there's so much more data to the right than there is to the left of the peak. And you also have this point out here, which I would say is a possible outlier. Okay, so explain why the mean is so much larger than the median. And for that, we would say the distribution or the shape of the distribution. Sorry about that. The shape of the distribution is skewed to the right. You could say strongly skewed as well. Skewed to the right with a possible outlier. And we're going to label that possible outlier of 85. Okay, minutes. So again, because it's skewed right, we would prefer to use which one? We would prefer to use the median because it's strongly skewed to the right and it has an outlier of 85 minutes. Okay, so which measure of center is better? By looking at this data, it's not symmetric, so we don't want to use the mean of 31.25. We want to use here the median. Okay, so since the distribution, the shape of the distribution is skewed to the right, with a possible outlier, the median is the better means of the center, or better median, I should say, better median of the center. So when you're doing this, again, you can explain this in short term. You don't have to write out full sentences. If I was explaining this, I would say, which measure is better? I would say the median. Why is it better? Because the data is skewed to the right and has outliers, plain and simple. So you're going to have some problems like that in Edulastic. Again, I try to break these videos down a little shorter just so you're not sitting there staring at a 20-minute video.